Women have been conditioned by society to be, act, and think a certain way. Here at Girls IRL, we encourage women to challenge societal norms and embrace their femininity. With that being said, let's get into this week's episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Girls in Real Life podcast. I am your host, Mariah Clayton, and it's my birthday. Well, not technically today because my birthday was yesterday on the 7th, but it's my birthday, okay? I cannot believe that I'm 28 years old. Like, that just feels like I shouldn't even be allowed to say that for some reason. But obviously, super grateful for another birthday, another year of life, even though we're getting a little bit older. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm a little bit sick right now. I feel like I've been sick so much more this year, and obviously it has to be because of Ace and him being in school. But I've been a little like congested. My nose has been aching. Girl, my throat. My throat has been aching. I actually feel a lot better today than I have any other day this week, but Justin is also sick. I think he has like a sinus infection and he has been having really bad headaches all week. So we are like going through it over here. And if you guys follow me over on Instagram, then you would know that Ace had his ear tube surgery last week. Now, by the time you guys hear this, we went last Wednesday. And when I tell you I was a nervous, emotional wreck the whole entire time because obviously, you never want your child to have to go and get surgery. And y'all know Ace has had this ear infection for literally months, like since January. So it was going on 3, almost 4 months of him having this ear infection, which obviously can impair his hearing and could have possibly had, long-term hearing damage down the line if we didn't get it fixed. So we decided to give him the ear tubes and we brought him to an ENT specialist and we ended up scheduling it very fast after we met with them. Like literally a week later, we scheduled the appointment and was like, okay, we're going to get the tubes. But yeah, we went there last Wednesday and we had to get there at 6:00 in the morning. So I had to wake Ace up at like 5:20ish so that we could leave and drive into the city and go and get his surgery. And he couldn't eat anything. So that's why we wanted to have the surgery a little bit earlier, just so that he wouldn't be like starving throughout the whole entire day. But they told us that the surgery was going to be fairly quick, but I was not expecting it to be as quick as it was because we went back there. They ran us through the whole thing with the anesthesiologist, the doctor, like everybody came and talked to us one-on-one and told us how it was going to go down. They took him to the back and then we had to go to the waiting room and I literally started crying. Like immediately after they took him out of my arms, I immediately started crying. And by the time I finished crying, y'all, the surgery was done. And I'm not even joking. Like it was that fast and I just was not like expecting it. So anyways, the surgery went well. He was a little bit cranky after he woke up from the anesthesia, but they say that that is like completely normal because it makes their little bodies feel just weird and they don't really know like what to do with it, so they just cry. But he ended up falling asleep in the car on the way back home, and then after he woke up from that nap in the car, y'all, he acted like nothing ever happened. I was shook because I honestly thought that he was going to be down and out for the entire day. And he was just like, nope, I'm same old me. Like, let's play. Let's go on our walk. Let's watch Miss Rachel. Like, he was like, nothing happened today. So I was so proud of him. Like he's just such a little trooper. I feel like he's been through so much in his first year of life, and every time he like comes out on the other side of something, I'm just like, wow, our babies are actually so much stronger and resilient than we give them credit for. And I know people say that a lot, but until you actually go through something with your baby and you watch them come out on the other side of it, then that's when you understand like how actually tough babies are. And we are the problem. Like the parents are the problem. We are the ones that freak out. We're the ones who, don't want them in any pain and things like that. And we just, kind of go overboard with our emotions, but our babies are kind of like, chill out. Like, it's okay. I'm good. So anyways, I'm just glad that that is over. And I really hope that these tubes kind of help him get rid of the infection that he has, like drain out all the fluid that's in his ears. And hopefully it'll help him not get as many ear infections in the future. And the tubes should just fall out on their own. So unless they stay in for longer than intended, I think like they can't stay in longer for like 3 years or something, then they have to get them surgically removed. But typically they fall out in like 6 to 12 months. So we shall see. But by the time you guys hear this, I have already celebrated my birthday. So Saturday, me and Justin went out to dinner. I'm actually recording this on, what day is today? Today is Thursday, so last Thursday. So this hasn't happened yet, but I know what we're doing. So Saturday we're going out to dinner to eat at Sullivan's, which is like a local steakhouse restaurant. I've actually never been to Sullivan's before. It's like one of the, how do I want to describe it? It's a very old steakhouse. I just never been. But I told him that I've been really craving oysters for some reason. So they have oysters, and obviously they have steak and like other seafood and stuff. And they have really good drinks from what I've seen on Instagram. So that's why we picked that place. And then Sunday, Justin boiled us some crawfish and got on the grill a little bit too. And Sunday is actually going to be the first day that we're having like our first party at the house, I guess. So we're gonna try and get as much of it together as we can, because we still have a few boxes in like the dining room area. So we're gonna try and clear all of that out to make sure that, you know, people have room and places to sit and stuff. But this is gonna be a lot of people's first time seeing the house, so I'm very excited to kind of have like our first party on Sunday. But yeah, those are pretty much all of my birthday plans. I'm not really doing too much this year. I didn't really want to do that much this year. I feel like we just have a lot going on, and that's just what it is. You know, I feel like as I get older, I don't really need as much as I used to. And I know you guys probably hear people say that a lot, but like I didn't really get any presents this year. Like people are like, what do you want? I'm like, I literally don't want anything, y'all. Like I have everything that I could ever want or need in my life, and like I don't need anything else. So I guess I'm just getting to that age where like material things don't matter. Just the people that I surround myself with is what matters the most to me these days. So anyways, oh wait, I also forgot to tell you guys I'm taking my birthday pictures tomorrow. By the time you guys are hearing this, they're already posted, because I'm sure I posted them on my birthday. But I told y'all we're doing 28 ATE as the theme for the photo shoot. So like Last Supper vibes. There's gonna be like a table setting, and I don't know how this is going to go because I'm seeing it in my mind, but like, I'm sure the pictures are going to come out good. I'm sure they came out good already. But in like right now, I don't really know how it's going to go because I'm still trying to get like decorations for the table. Like I ordered, some candle holders. So I need to go get some like long candles. I need to go pick up some flowers to put on the table. I need to get the plates, like the plate settings. And then I had to like get the food that's going to be on the table, which I don't think I'm going to get a lot of food, because initially I was like, I'm going to have a whole spread on the table, but no, I think I'm just going to keep it like very simple with the food and just try and get like the right angles to where you guys think there's more. But yeah, I don't really know how this is gonna go. I have a dress in my closet that I ordered like 2 years ago from Fashion Nova, and it's like this gold long chain link dress with these two really high slits on the side. And I've never worn it, and so I'm thinking I'm gonna wear that for my photos. I don't want to be like too uncomfortable or too revealing, but I also don't want to buy a dress just for like the photo shoot. So I'm trying to use what I have, especially since I've never worn it before. So I think that's what we're going to wear for the photos, but I just don't know how they're going to come out. So you have to tell me if they came out good or not when you guys hear this episode and go look at the pictures on Instagram. But as we all know, today's episode is going to be my birthday reflections episode. I did this last year, and I kind of want to make it into a yearly tradition, just because I feel like I feel like self-reflection is good at any time in the year, but I feel like it's especially helpful around your birthday or on your birthday, just because like you have time to think about what transpired in the past year. How did you grow? What happened? What did you accomplish? Right? Like, I feel like this is just a really great time for self-reflection. So I like to utilize this time to really think about what I've learned in the past year, how I've been impacted and affected and changed in any way possible. And then obviously share that with you guys, for anybody who might be younger than me or somebody around the same age or even older. Okay. We can learn life lessons at any point in time. Okay. So I know a lot of people like to do like, you know, whatever age they're turning, they like to give that many things. But over here, I'm not giving y'all 28 things that I learned at 28 because that's just too much. That's too many things. That's too much thinking. So I do have a list here of like, I think it's 11 things that I learned in the past year, which I think is good because there's 12 months in the year. And yeah, I feel like, you know, as long as you have one for every month, almost, like, that's good enough, right? Like, I'm not gonna bore y'all with 28 things. So anyways, that's what we're doing for today's episode. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. I always say let's get right into it after I've talked for like almost 10 minutes. Anyways, the first lesson that I learned this past year was you end up where you are as a result of the choices that you make. And I feel like this was a reality that I had to come to grips with a lot of times, because there was a lot that happened in the past year, and like giving birth to Ace and just adjusting to motherhood and things like that. And I would ask myself, why am I in this situation? Like, how did I get here? Because I never thought that I would be a mom at 27, and I didn't expect to have Ace. And like, now I'm here and I'm breastfeeding and I'm pumping and I'm doing all these things. And I'm like, was just in a really, really bad place at the beginning of the year, just because like my life changed literally forever. So a lot of times I would be thinking to myself, or like asking God, like, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? And a lot of times we try and blame God, or we try and blame the devil for putting us in situations when in reality we put ourselves in that situation. So you really have to like be honest and open with yourself and realize that like every single choice that you made in life brought you to this point. It wasn't like God trying to teach you a lesson. It wasn't necessarily the devil, trying to come in here and ruin your life. Like, you are here because of the choices that you made in your life, and whatever choice you decide to make, now you have to suffer with or not suffer, but deal with whatever consequence comes with that, whether it be a good or bad consequence. So for me, I had to understand that like everything that I did in my life up until this point is what got me here. I decided to lay down with my man, and this is what happened. So I can't blame anybody else for, those things that happened in my life. And I can't try and push the blame onto someone or something else, because I'm not necessarily fully happy with the way that my life had turned out, right? So it's kind of a harsh reality to come to terms with, but I think once you understand that, then you're going to be more careful about the choices that you do decide to make, because you realize how much it actually does impact your life. I'm sorry, y'all. The sun is like shining so bright right here, so I don't even know like what this lighting is right now, but we're just gonna roll with it. So yeah, I feel like that was just like a major thing that I learned, was like my life is a direct reflection of my choices, and everything that I decided in my life up until this point is what has gotten me here. And yeah, sometimes God will use things and turn them for your good and all that kind of stuff, and sometimes the devil really is messing with you, but a lot of times it's not always that. Like, a lot of times we really are the ones that put ourselves in this situation, and then we're like, why, God, why? But it's like, girl, you did this, and this, and then this happened. So that's why. All right. Second thing on my list is don't let other people's opinions shape your view of yourself. And I feel like we all kind of know this, but it's nice to just have a reminder. And I wrote this down for me specifically because I was very concerned with like how people would view me since becoming a mom, and like, I don't know, just like what they would think of my body, and what they would think of like my work ethic, and what they would think of like my parenting style, what they would think of my content. Like, I was so concerned with like what everybody else's opinions were going to be of me, and I was just kind of making assumptions about what they were going to be. And so a lot of times I would kind of let those assumptions impact the way that I would feel about myself. And that's not good. Like, that is definitely not a good place to be. You never want to let other people's opinions impact or affect the way that you feel about yourself, because other people's opinions don't matter. Like, we know this. And like I said, it's nice to have a little reminder, because sometimes we can get caught up on other people's opinions and then try and act accordingly based upon what we think other people are thinking of us, right? So I had to make sure that everything that I was doing in my life was for me, was something that was making me happy. As long as I was happy with my life and the way that it was turning out and the way that I was doing things, then nobody else's thoughts or opinions even matter, because they're not the ones living my life like I am. So I can't get so caught up in other people's opinions that I kind of like lose myself in the process. And that's something that I never want to do. So you have to be really careful about whose thoughts and opinions you're letting into your mind and how that is affecting you, because the last thing that you want to do is to live your life based off of how other people think that you should be living, because that's not very fulfilling. You're not going to be happy. You're going to be miserable, and you're always going to be trying your best to please somebody or do something in response to like what you think they think you should be doing, if that makes sense. So it's easier to just kind of like block out all the outside noise and just listen to your heart, do the things that make you happy, and be the person that you want to be in spite of what other people have to say about it. The next lesson I learned is seasons of sacrifice don't last forever. And I wish somebody would have told me this when I was just like in the thick of my postpartum journey, because I was so, do I want to say depressed? I was so depressed. I was so depressed in my postpartum journey because I felt like I was sacrificing everything to give it to Ace. I was sacrificing my body by pumping and producing milk. I was sacrificing my time by, spending it all with him, making sure he's okay. I was sacrificing my energy. I was sacrificing so many things in order to like give to him. And in a way, it kind of felt unfair because Justin didn't have to wake up in the middle of the night to go and pump, and he got to go off to work, and he didn't have to stay home with Ace. So it kind of felt like a lot of the sacrifice was being put onto me, and like I was the only one who was able to give him what he needed for a period of time. And that is true. I mean, like as a mom, your babies depend on you and solely you. Like you literally have everything that they need and everything that they want. And a lot of times, like, yeah, your partner can step in to help, your family can step in to help, but at the same time, that level of sacrifice is never going to be as high as your level of sacrifice. And so for me, I was really in a season where I felt like I don't even know how to describe it. I was just in a season where I felt like my sacrifice was becoming too much and I was losing too much of myself. And it made me sad and it made me depressed and it made me literally question everything. Like, why am I doing this? Like, why did we decide to go through with this? But no, seriously, like, I'm just being real with y'all. Like those first early weeks and months of postpartum were very, very hard. And I honestly never thought that I would see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's hard to see how things are going to change when you're in the middle of like this season of sacrifice. But now that I'm out of that season, I've had time to look back on those times and I've been able to reflect on it. I realized it was a very, very short period of my time. And like, I would say the first 3 or 4 months of my time in my life and with Ace. So if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that much of a sacrifice, but in the moment, it honestly feels like everybody is taking everything away from you and you have nothing left to give to yourself. So for me, what I've learned is that seasons of sacrifice, they don't last forever. And when you're in a season of sacrifice, then you just need to be in that season and like be present in that season, because again, like it's not going to last forever. And maybe one day you'll look back on that season and wish that you would have, not complained as much or been more present or, been more happier and like chosen to be more happier in spite of the sacrifice. Right. So at the end of the day, like, I feel like if I were to ever go through that again and like have another child, I feel like I would be much more, what's the word I'm looking for? I would be easier on myself during that season. I would honestly be like happy to know that this is my season right now and like my baby needs me the most, and like I can feel happy about that. I can feel proud about that. But when you're going through it and when it's your first time dealing with something like that and when your life has just like completely changed overnight, like it's a lot to process and it's a lot to take in. So just knowing and understanding that seasons of sacrifice don't last forever, it makes it easier to deal with when you're in that season of sacrifice, because like one day you're going to be out of this and things are going to get better and you're going to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel. My next reflection is kind of funny. I wrote, there is nothing a good vacation can't fix, okay? Because we went to Jamaica last year, and that was my first time going, and it was honestly one of the best trips I've ever been on. And I was 4 months postpartum, and I went on that vacation with no baby. I wasn't pumping. Like, I was on the beach every day. I was drinking rum and like it was so much fun. And to be able to like have all of your cares of the world just gone for even just a few days, like that did wonders for me, for my mental health, for just like my outlook on life. Like that vacation was like everything that I needed in that moment. And so I think that if you are overwhelmed and if life is getting hard, like it's okay to step away from reality and like ease your mind and just forget all the struggles and cares of the world, because that's where you can like recharge and get your mind right to come back to reality. Because sometimes if you just like stay in the hard spot too long, like you're going to get worn out, you're going to get beat down, and it's not going to be good for you. So sometimes you just need to take a break, step away. You don't even have to go far. Like you can literally drive like 2 hours away. You could even have like a staycation where your computer is just off, or, you know, your phone is off, or whatever the case may be. But like a good vacation can honestly fix a lot that is going on in your life. And I would tell that to anybody. Like, if you don't have the money, like, that's one thing. But if you have the means to be able to just kind of like get away and separate yourself from the real world, even if it's just for like 1 or 2 days, you will thank yourself. Now, obviously, I missed Ace and I was calling my parents like as often as I could. But even just being able to like step away from that moment and like step away from being a mom and step away from like, you know, pumping and providing in that sense, like it was such a relief. And I enjoyed every second of it. So that is the yeah. All right. Next thing I have on my list is it is not our job to understand rejection. And I put this on my list because y'all know even now, still, I guess, I've been looking for a job. And I feel like I've applied to so many jobs, y'all. Like, I've applied to so many and I haven't gotten a single one. And there was a moment where like I thought I almost got this job, but then they ended up like going in a different direction, and it was just kind of like, well, what the heck, right? So I've dealt with a lot of rejection in the past few months, specifically just because like I have been trying to get a job and I have been putting myself out there, and like I feel like nothing has kind of come from it. But I had to realize that it's not my place to understand rejection. Like there's a lot of reasons for rejection, and I know people have that saying, God's rejection. I mean, how does it go? Rejection is God's protection. I know that that's like a thing, but honestly, it's so true. Like you never truly know what you would have been getting yourself into. And I'm the type of person that I fully wholeheartedly believe that like what's meant for you will not pass you by, and like you will always end up where you're supposed to be. So if I'm applying for these jobs and like nobody is hiring me, then maybe I was never supposed to be there in the first place. Like obviously it hurts and it sucks, because it's like, what's on my resume that you don't like, or why are you not hiring me? Like, am I not a good enough employee? Like you kind of start questioning yourself and your abilities, and it's like a lot of times it doesn't even have anything to do with that. It's just not meant for you. And I think that the more you realize that, instead of trying to question like why you got rejected in the first place, then like you will have a lot more peace about situations where you are rejected, whether it be from a job, whether it be in a relationship, or any, you know, aspect of life. I think that if you are able to come to terms with like, rejection is my protection, and like it's not my place to understand why they don't want me, or why, you know, they think I'm not good enough. Like I'm going to be good enough for someone somewhere at some time, and I don't know when that will be, but I do know that it's coming. You know, like I feel like if you have that optimistic view of it, then you will take rejection a little bit more less harshly, I guess is a good way to put it. So stop trying to, you know, waste your time understanding rejection and like why people say no to you, because there's always a reason for it, whether it be like a reason for them or a reason for you. Everybody's not going to accept you. Everybody is not going to see your potential. Everybody is not going to think that you are the person that they need, and that's okay. All right, next thing I put on my list was your baby, your journey, okay? And I put this on here because I have been on, obviously the motherhood and parenting side of social media. And I see a lot of videos of people trying to tell you, you need to do this schedule and you need to use this formula and you need to make sure you're doing this and this. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like it is just too much. It's overwhelming. Everybody thinks that they know everything. Everybody thinks that they're right. And at the end of the day, it's like it's your baby. So you have to decide what journey you're taking your baby on, how you plan to raise your baby, how you plan to feed your baby, how you plan to like teach your baby. Like you cannot let other people's, again, what I said earlier, you cannot let other people's opinions dictate like how you're going to do something in your life, because your baby is like the most important thing to you, right? So you can't just take everybody's word for every single thing and then you never have an opinion about how you want to do things yourself. And especially like when people in your family, like your mom or like your grandparents or maybe your mother-in-law or somebody is like trying to tell you what to do or telling you that you're doing something wrong or telling you that you're spoiling your baby. Like, oh my gosh, I got that so much. It can be hard hearing those things, but also you have to understand like you know what's best for your baby. And just because these people have these opinions about what it is that you're doing and how you're doing it, you don't have to listen to them, because they're not with your baby every single day like you are. They're just coming for 2 hours at most, holding them and then giving them back. Like they can't really tell you anything about your baby that you don't already know. So it's like, yeah, they can say things all they want, but if you choose to take their advice, then fine. But if you don't resonate with something that they're saying, like you do not have to listen to them. Like this is your child. So yeah, I think I put that on there because like I said, a lot of people in my family, they were telling me I'm spoiling my baby. I'm holding him too much. Stop giving him the pacifier. Like, all of these things that people who have been parents before like try and tell you how to do stuff, and it's like, let me figure it out on my own. Like I'm a first time mom, but like this is still my child and I have the discernment to figure out what is good for them and what is not. Okay. And like, I can figure out what they like and what they don't and how they want to be held and how they want to be treated and what they want to eat and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, there's really no right or wrong way. It's your baby. It's your journey. And every baby is honestly so different. So what works for one parent might not work for you. And that's okay. And I think if people just honestly minded their business a little bit more and stop trying to input every 5 seconds about what they think you should be doing, then everybody would just be a lot happier. All right. Anyways, moving on. The next thing on my list is asking for help doesn't make you a burden. I feel like I learned this a lot in the past year. One, in a sense of, needing help with Ace and, like trying to get people to come and watch him just so I could like go take a shower or eat dinner, things like that. But also in a sense of like me starting my business and wanting to ask people for like help and ask them questions. So I used to always think that like if I asked somebody for something that I would be bothering them or I would just kind of be like a burden, I would be annoying them. So I would always just kind of like keep to myself and never really ask for things unless I truly needed it. But what I'm learning is that asking for help doesn't make you a burden, okay? Everybody needs help every now and then. And if somebody makes you feel like a burden for asking for help or makes you feel like you're annoying them for asking for help, then they're not the people that you want to surround yourself with anyways, because they truly don't care about you and your well-being and your success. I used to always feel like, taking care of Ace was just solely my responsibility, but it truly does take a village. So why should I not call my mom and be like, hey, can you come over for an hour or two so I can take a quick nap or something? Like that's not a burden. That's me asking for help in some way. And because she's my mom, like she loves me, she's going to come and do it. Right. Or even with me, like starting my business and starting the pageant and talking to my mentors and asking them millions of questions. It's like, I'm not annoying and I'm not a burden. I just don't understand what I'm doing. And I want you to kind of help guide me. So it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask questions. Like you're not a burden. You're not annoying. You're not in the way. Like you're literally just trying to figure it out and get help along the way. And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, if people in your life and in your circle don't want to offer that help to you, then like, maybe you need to reevaluate, okay? All right, y'all, we have 4 more to get through. The next one is worrying is only stressing about something that hasn't happened yet. And I feel like I've worried a lot this year, okay? Like even with having a baby, like you have a lot of mom anxiety and a lot of mom worries that you have to deal with about things that like haven't even happened yet, but also just kind of like worrying about my future and having anxiety about my future. Like I did a whole podcast episode on that last year. And all that kind of stuff, right? And it's like I'm worrying about things because I don't know how it's going to turn out and I don't know how it's going to happen. And that's the point that I'm trying to make is like you're stressing about something that hasn't even happened yet. You're stressing about something that's not even real because your worry is rooted in your assumptions of what could possibly happen. So I think that like if you kind of realize that, then it kind of takes the worry away just a little bit. I mean, obviously I still worry. Like I worry about things every single day, but I really just tried to remind myself that like it's not reality. Like this has not happened yet. It could be a possibility that it could happen, but like it's not happening. Like stop worrying about it, stop stressing about it, stop losing sleep over it because it's not doing you any good. And I don't know if you guys heard the saying, how does it go? If you worry, wait, how does it go? Something about praying and worry. If you pray, you don't need to worry. And if you worry, why are you praying? So, child, I don't know. Let me stop while I'm ahead. But I feel like y'all know what I'm saying. There's a saying that's like with prayer and worry, and like because you pray, you don't need to worry, right? And so I feel like that has kind of helped me as well because y'all know I've been trying to get back close in my relationship with God and all that kind of stuff and read my Bible and journal and pray and do all of that every single day. And I feel like when I am praying and when I am reading my Bible and when I am in the presence of God, like my worries are not as present as when I'm not doing that. So it really truly does make a difference when you decide to like cast all your cares and worries onto God because you know that you're not the one that has to carry that burden. Like he is willing to carry it for you. So it's like, why would you choose to like keep that burden on yourself when you really don't have to? So I think for me, my journey with worrying, it's definitely been a long journey, but I feel like I'm trying to deal with my worries and my anxieties about life and my future in a different way because I know that like I don't have all the answers and I can't figure it out and I cannot stress myself about figuring it out. All I can do is just continue to do what God is leading me to do and trust and believe that like he is going to work things out for me because he always does. The next thing I learned this past year is motivation wins the battle, but discipline wins the war. And y'all know I've been talking a lot about motivation and discipline, especially because discipline is really like my main goal of 2024 is to be more disciplined in all aspects of my life. And this is just a reminder to me that like motivation can only take you so far because once you lose motivation, if you don't have discipline in order to like continue doing the things that you want to do in order to achieve the life that you want, then like you're just gonna fizzle out and die. So this is just my reminder that like discipline is so important. And even when you don't feel like doing something, you need to train that discipline muscle so that you always are able to fall back on your routines and always have that discipline to go back to. I honestly have been slipping on my discipline a little bit in the past 2 months, especially with the move and everything that has been going on, but I'm trying to get back on the horse, okay? We about to start back working out. Me and Justin are getting a gym membership at the YMCA, and there's actually a bar studio in the city where I'm living now, so I'm gonna try that out. I'm gonna get back into running. I got a jump rope from the store. Like we about to get back into the discipline, okay? We about to get back into the routine. But I just had to remind myself because I know that discipline is a really big thing that I'm trying to focus on and I've fallen off the wagon a lot. So I needed this reminder that like motivation is going to win the battle. Like you're going to be good for a little bit, but discipline is what's going to take you for the long haul. And it's what's going to help you achieve everything that you want. Okay, 2 more, you guys. The next one is you don't really trust God if you never step out on faith, okay? And that's a word, because you can say that you trust God all you want, but if you never actually do the thing that he's calling you to do, or take a risk and make a decision because you feel like something is pulling you towards that, then like, do you really trust him, or do you just say that you trust him? So for me, yeah, I trust my God, because I have taken a lot of steps of faith in my life. But honestly, starting this pageant is the biggest step of faith I've probably ever taken, because I've never done anything like this before. I'm still figuring it out as I go. I don't really know how it's going to go, right? Again, like all that worry and all that anxiety about stressing over things that haven't even happened yet. Like, what if girls don't sign up? What if, we only get to do this for 1 year? What if, what if, what if? And it's like, girl, if you say you trust God, then trust God, Like, I honestly feel like this is the step in the direction that I'm supposed to go in. And if that's how I feel, if I feel like this is where God is leading me, then I need to just continue to step out on faith, because obviously, like, he's not going to allow me to fail if he's telling me to do this, right? So for me, I feel like I show how much I trust God in what I decide to do and how I decide to do it. And I feel like if I never really ever stepped out on faith ever in my life, then like I can't say that I trust God, because I've never given him the chance to prove himself to me. It's scary. Like, I can't lie. I'm just out here. Like, I'm literally just out here in the deep end, no floaty. I don't know how I'm going to get to shore. I just know that land is going to come up somewhere, somehow. And that's just what it is right now. I feel like I have to put all of my faith and trust in God and in what he's told me to do. And whatever comes from that is what comes from that. So you have to be willing to exercise your faith in the one that you have faith in, because that's like you being in a relationship with a guy who you say that you trust, yet you going through his phone every single day because you really don't trust him, right? So it's like you have to think of your relationship with God in that way. Like, if you say that you trust him, you need to show him that you do trust him and walk out on faith. Speak things into existence even though they're not even there yet, right? Like, you have to be able to risk a lot on your faith journey. And I feel like when we do step out on faith and when we do exercise our faith, it makes God proud. Like, it's like, wow, she really does trust me. Like, she's doing what I told her to do, even though she has no clue what's going on or how it's going to go. Like, she's doing it. And I don't know. I feel like it makes God happy when we step out on faith and actually exercise our trust in him. So you don't really trust God if you never step out on faith, okay? I don't know who that word is for, but it's for somebody. All right. And then the last birthday reflection that I have for you guys is, time is a treasure you can't get back. Enjoy every second, even the bad ones. And I feel like I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. But when I was going, like I said, through my season of sacrifice and pumping in the middle of the night for 30 minutes and dealing with engorged boobs and trying to figure out like when I would feel like myself again, like those are precious moments in my life that I can't get back. And I look back on that time and I wish that I would have just reveled in that moment a little bit more, instead of being so caught up on, I'm just ready to have my body back. I'm just ready to stop pumping. I'm just ready, and just like being selfish. Honestly, I was being very selfish. So I try to remind myself that even when I'm in moments that I'm not really happy, even when I'm in moments where I'm confused and I don't really know how I'm going to get out of that moment, even when I'm in moments where nothing makes sense, that is time that I will never ever get back, and they are precious moments and seconds that I need to take advantage of. The hardest part about going through seasons that you're not happy with or dealing with bad things that happen to you is not accepting it. A lot of times we reject the bad things that are going on in our life and we kind of fight against them and we kind of just make ourselves miserable. But I think that if we were to embrace those moments and just say, this is my life right now. Like, this is my reality. I don't like it. I don't want to be here, But because I am here, I'm going to make the most of these moments. I think that if we were to do that, then our lives would be a lot more happier, honestly. Like, you would be able to turn a bad situation into something that is manageable. So for me, like, as I do get older, like, I have to remind myself that this is the youngest that I will ever be. Every single day you're getting older and you're growing closer and closer to the end of your life. And like, that's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? That's kind of dark, I guess is the word. It's kind of dark to think about, but it's honestly the truth. And you do have to understand that time is a treasure, and like, you will never be able to get this time back. And one day when you're old and gray, you might look back on this time in your life and wish that you would have just accepted your body the way that it was. Wish that you would have accepted the situation for what it was. Wish that you would have just leaned into the season instead of being so against it, right? And there's a lot that you can learn from bad moments in your life and bad seasons, hard seasons even. And if you just take the time to like look around and just be grateful for the fact that you're even alive, maybe life would be 10 times better and easier for you. And I'm saying this to you, but I'm also saying this to myself because I struggle with this so much, of just like wishing and wanting to be at certain points in my life. And then once I get there, I wish that I could go back in time to like, you know, tell myself, embrace the moment. Like, it's going to be okay. It's all going to work out. It's hard right now, but like, you're spending all your time depressed when it's about to get better for you. It's easy to think that like we have all the time in the world, but we all know that we don't. But when we're young and when we're in our 20s, like, we think we're invincible and we think nothing can happen to us. And we think that like time is non-existent in a way. You know, we don't really think of time when we're young the same way that we think about it when we're old. But I think that if we did, people would be a lot more grateful for life and for the life that they're living. So I say all of that to say time is a treasure that you will never be able to get back. And you need to learn how to embrace every season of life that you're in, even the bad ones. Because like I said, even though it seems bad right now, one day you're going to be out of that bad season and look back and be like, man, it really wasn't even that bad. Like, I was being so dramatic, right? I don't know about y'all, but maybe for me personally, like, there are moments where I've looked back and I'm like, yeah, girl, you was just doing the most. You did not need to do all of that. But anyways, that is going to wrap up my birthday reflections and what I learned in the past year. You know, I spent literally all of this past year of my life adjusting to Ace and learning how to be a mom and trying to figure out like my new life, my new routine, a balancing act almost. And now that I'm 28, I'm honestly looking so forward to like what's to come, what's going to happen with the pageant, how things are going to play out in my life, how Ace is going to continue to grow and develop, how me and Justin's relationship is going to grow. Like, there is so much that I'm looking forward to. Turning this house into a home. Like, I just honestly feel like 28 is going to be so good. And I think that because I've learned so much in this past year of my life and in the past years of my life, I have everything I need in order to make this year the best yet. So I'm very excited and I'm very grateful. And I'm just happy. I feel like I haven't been this happy and optimistic in a long time, and it feels good. I hope that some of these birthday reflections kind of helped you reflect on your life, or, you know, take away a little bit of nugget of wisdom from your girl. I'm super grateful to you guys and our growing family. I'm so excited to see where the podcast takes me this year and how we grow together as a family. Like, I seriously love you guys so much. I don't think you truly understand. And I'm just so grateful for the community that we are building with each other. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go now because I do have a little meeting in about 15 minutes, but I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast. Leave me a comment and a review. I would absolutely appreciate it. I love you so much. Have a great Monday, a great week, and I'll talk to you in my next episode. Bye.